Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are. My name is Adam. Welcome to this pre-sales workshop. So you got a few things set up a little bit differently. There's trying a new camera, trying a little bit different lighting. I hope the audio still sounds good. This is a combo workshop today. There's some written stuff, written article. There's also the audio here. But today, we're going to step back into time. Like Huey Lewis in the news should be playing right now. Back in time. I was reminded earlier this week of a time when I wasn't in pre-sales. So for a spell, I sat on the other side of the table in sales ops, and I was buying all the things. I was buying the things that I'm now and was at that time trying to sell. So what actually brought me down memory lane? Well, I've been trying lately to focus on how do I provide value for my customers? And I thought, all right, what better way than to take a step back, reminisce a little bit about the buyer perspective. Maybe there's some inspiration there. I'm going to channel my best Keanu Reeves voice here. Whoa. There was a lot of inspiration. I'd forgotten exactly how hard it was to be a buyer. Whether it was a first-time purchaser or whether I was also in a spot where I was a customer, where I was renewing, I remembered how hard being a buyer was. It's a tough job. It's a really tough job. Now, of course, I have to make certain the vendor can do the things I need to do. But what I had forgotten about is there's so much more as a buyer that I was managing beyond the actual functional requirements and use cases. A lot more. So as I was thinking about this, I realized, look, in pre-sales, we're really only seeing the tip of the iceberg most of the time. Much of the time. The use case to demo, the functionality to show, the new feature set that's shiny. So these are the things that the buyer is going to tell us are important to them. Maybe these are the things that actually inspired the conversation with the buyer. Maybe it's a new technology or a new capability that's inspiring the conversation or driving that discussion with the existing customer. But underneath it all, the rest of the iceberg, below the waterline, I remembered and thought, wow, there's an insane opportunity just to find ways to provide value for all of the things that I'm not seeing. So here's what I mean. Thinking back to when I was a buyer, as a buyer, I had dozens of perspectives, dozens of ways having nothing to do with the functionality itself, where I was desperately looking for help. Yeah, I get it. I get that you can do X. I get that you can do Y, but I really need help over here. And the moment someone on the other side of the table helped me find the value was that moment that I said, now I'm leaning in. I'm going to lean all in. And just thinking about this was a fantastic reminder of where we in pre-sales have the opportunity to lean in and meet the customer, even if they're not explicitly telling us what's below the waterline, or we don't know. Because providing value in pre-sales isn't just about giving this awesome demo. It's not just about schlepping the new feature. There's always more opportunity. It's right beneath the surface. And we can and should be building value into every moment that we have with the customer, big or small. So I started writing down all of these moments. I started writing down the perspective that I had, and I was recalling as a buyer. And I look back and I saw, wow, this is crazy, because it really does correspond with everything that we're taught. It corresponds with the training, but it also has a real rawness to it that I remembered vividly. I was actually thinking these things. So here's an example. And you can find the link to the stuff. You can find a link to the tool in the comments below. Here's an example of the mindset, of the perspective that I had as this buyer. And then here's an example also following that of, in pre-sales, man, how can I meet that and then provide some value? Even if it's subtle, how can I meet that? These are kind of funny. I need you to have a perspective that's unique and realistic to my business. Now, sometimes, you might come out and say this as a buyer, but really in the conversation, I recall really focusing on, what's your perspective for me? What's your perspective and realistic for my business? Now, in pre-sales, I should develop that perspective. I really should, because that's the basis for a lot of the things that we're going to do. Talk track, demo, objection handling, all of those things. So in pre-sales, what's the perspective that I have? Well, depending on the market, what kind of research can I do? Of course, there's the 10K. If it's a public, you can read the 10K. Can I subscribe to some emails maybe? Can I visit the website? Can I start to drop little hints and nuggets in my talk tracks, in my presentations? Here's another one. I want to have a structured evaluation. Okay, makes sense. Underlying that is, if this is really wishy-washy, that's not valuable to me. So in pre-sales, how can we bring structure to the conversation? There's big ways, there's small ways. Small ways that I really like to do, that I really like to use. Every meeting invite has an agenda. Every presentation deck has an agenda. Every demo has a demo agenda. Talk about structure. Hey, we're going to have a demonstration today. Here's a quick agenda. We're going to talk about these 3 things here. There's about 15 or so of these in the tool. On one side, the buyer perspective. On the other side, ways that pre-sales can meet them and provide value. And I got to say, this was a lot of fun to go back in time, because this gave me exactly the inspiration that I needed to meet my customers directly, even subtly, to provide them value and really get to the heart of it all that's underneath that waterline. Thanks so much for joining me today. That's it for the workshop. Find the tool and the link in the comments below. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe buttons. Just smash some buttons. But thanks again for spending time with me today, and we will see you next time right here in the workshop.